Hey everyone, this is Phoenix Fred, and it's been quite a while since I've made a posting on this channel. I've kind of decided to try a new direction, and that new direction is going to be actually more away from the trail previews. I think the trail previews, there's plenty of stuff already out there, and I'm actually limited to travel now, so would basically run out of trails to preview. So I've decided to kind of change direction and go more into actual mountain bike maintenance and actually working on projects like brand new projects with new bikes, as well as the maintenance and everything else that needs to be done on my current bikes. And speaking of current bikes, I do have a new bike. So this is a Stump Jumper 15 Specialized Stumpy, and it replaces my Salsa Blackthorn slash Cassidy bike that I've had for quite a while. That bike was getting a bit long in the tooth, and it was also getting a bit creaky, and it was just kind of annoying me. So it was time to sell it. I went ahead and sold it, and I decided to purchase this. Now, this bike is basically an all mountain type of bike or a trail bike versus a longer travel bike, but there's lots of adjustments and fun things you can do with it. In fact, I just taken it or have recently gotten back from a trip to Moab where it actually performed quite well. So I'm really happy about it. So I'm going to go ahead and clean the bike here, and I'll go into more specifications about this bike and what I really like about it. So hopefully you enjoy. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is talk about, or the first thing I'm going to do is actually clean my chain and cassette. So let me do that. And just to kind of give you some information about the actual chain and cassette. There we go, get some nice degreaser on there. Brush here. So this is a SRAM system, and I've been riding Shimano pretty much my entire mountain biking life. So this is a new change for me, and having to learn how to actually work on SRAM versus Shimano stuff. So this was exciting and new, and as you can tell from this is a SRAM GX transmission. So this is actually a foray into wireless transmissions as well, or excuse me, into wireless drivetrains. And the interesting thing was, like, when Specialized came out with this bike, it was kind of a big surprise that on their Carbon Series bikes that they didn't actually include cabling to actually do a mechanical drivetrain. It has to be wireless. So there you go. The alloy versions do actually have a connection that you can do, but this bike does not. So that was new. And so far, I'm actually kind of liking the whole uh, drivetrain, the wireless drivetrain. I did have to buy an extra battery because I was just afraid that I would either forget to charge or do something that would kind of cause an issue, and I wouldn't be able to change gears or anything like that. But so far, I haven't actually run out of power anywhere, and it's been actually pretty good so far. But it's nice to have the extra one in there, so I do have it. Kind of just pops out off the back here. You just kind of pop the thing out and pull it out. I'm not going to right now. I'm going to keep it closed because I'm washing the bike. But anyway, so very happy so far with the wireless. Now, nothing against the mechanical drivetrains. I'm very curious about like setting this up, since this was already purchased with everything in there. I didn't actually have to learn how to set this thing up, but I've always thought it was always difficult to with the cabling to get the alignment right and get everything, the tension correct. Here I don't have to worry about that. It's all digital. I have the app on my phone. It works well. I'm really happy with it. Changing gears, I'm getting used to it, and it's kind of funny when I switch between this bike and my EMTB, which is mechanical. I sometimes forget that have the electronic shifting, so it's kind of funny. So anyway, that is the SRAM wireless GX derailleur and a GX transmission cassette. Okay, before I go any further, I'm going to go ahead and remove the wheels so I can get a better cleaning of the wheels and the whole rear of the bike here as well. So let me go ahead and get this actually in the right gear. Okay. And the interesting thing, like with there is no built-in, I guess the clutch is built in here, but I do like this idea of pressing this little button here to keep the chain out of the way. It makes it very easy getting in and out. All right. I tell you, one thing we don't have out here in Phoenix is mud, but we definitely have dust and dirt. So that is the main reason to keep things clean here. So let's go ahead and put this aside for right now. And then we go ahead and remove the front wheel as well. Loosen up this pinch bolt here on the front on this fork. All right, that is off now. All right, let's go ahead and spray down these wheels real quick. I'm using my Ryobi little sprayer here. It's really nice, and it doesn't go anything too powerful like a real power washer. It's just a lightweight power washer. So let's get a new on here. Oh man, there we go. Other side here. All right, that started. Okay, so let's talk about the wheels. Get a brush here. All right. So on the front wheel here, these are just the basic aluminum Revolve wheels from Specialized. They come with the bike. Nothing fancy. Nothing to really report. They're not obviously not they're not super lightweight or anything like that, but they are, you know, they feel great. They have no major issues, no problems so far. The hubs aren't the highest end of hubs. They are DT Swiss, which is nice. Let me get my other scrubby thing here. All right, bring this a little closer. So the hubs are DT Swiss 370s, not the 350s, but they are very similar to the older style 350s. But the one issue with the 350s was there we go. The actual ratchet themselves had like just 18 teeth, so you know, you really kind of felt that gap, especially on like technical climbs. And out here in Phoenix, we do a lot of little technical uppers and rock sections that you have to climb up, and it's really difficult. So the first thing I did was to actually replace that 18 tooth ratchet with a 56 tooth, and that solves all my problems. It made it really easy to kind of get that ratcheting when you have to kind of backpedal a little bit to get up to something technical, or not smash your pedals into the rocks and stuff like that. And it just did a really good job. So very, very happy with that. All right. Okay. And let's just kind of finish this off here. Looks pretty good. Gracie did a good job on there. Let's get the And once these dry out, I'll clean off the rotors separately. But so far, it's looking good. Okay, I'll do one more rinse real quick. All right, that is good. All right, and just to make a note, this is just your standard GX. What is it? 52 on the largest and 10 on the smallest. Nothing really exciting there. And the size of the rotors are just 200s. Nothing fancy, just the centerline SRAM rotors. All right, let's continue cleaning the bike. All right, as I continue the cleaning process here, I want to mention about the actual tires themselves. So the front tire is a Specialized Butcher. It has the Grid Trail, I guess, casing, and it's a T9, which makes it a softer material. So the T9 is it is actually pretty nice. I'm impressed with the so far with the actual tires themselves. I don't think it would be my choice after they wear out to get the same one or to continue using them, but I have nothing to really complain about them. They're just not my usual Assegai and minions and stuff. So we will change those out as soon as they start to wear thin. But so far I'm impressed with the grip. The funny thing about the grip is that it would shoot up a lot of gravel into my face, and it got just very annoying because we have a lot of kitty litter out on the trails out here, and that kitty litter gravel is just goes everywhere. So I think what I'm going to do is probably get a fender to help with that front tire to maybe minimize the all that stuff into my face. So we'll see how that goes. All right. The rear tire is the Eliminator, and it is the T7, so it's a little harder material, which is good for a rear tire. So it hopefully will hold up pretty well. But again, they'll probably wear out about the same time, and I'll have to get something new. And I'll probably get something a little bit more aggressive. I have been thinking about trying the Schwalbe tires. I don't know, not exactly sure how to say that thing. I want to try those radial tires, and I do know Specialized has also come out with the version of these in a radial as well, but we'll see. I'm very curious about those tires, so we'll see how that goes. All right, let's see if we can kind of get these cleaned up here. All right, let's go ahead and now that that is done, let's go ahead and soap down this or spray down the whole bike here. All right, now I'm going to change my attachment to the foamer. All right. Okay. Okay. Go ahead and start soaping this whole thing down. So let's continue with the bike as I'm cleaning from top down. This is the PNW Loam dropper. It's a 200 millimeter dropper. It's nice and long. I'm kind of short on the legs, so it's kind of funny that it's almost down here, almost fully flat here. But anyway, it's it's great. It's really out of the way. Don't have to worry about running into that at all. So, I've had low or at least P&W droppers in the past. They're good. Nothing fancy about them, but definitely a good standard dropper post. Nothing to complain about. The standard saddle here, nothing impressive about it. It's just it works. I haven't complained about it, so I'll probably replace it at some point as well. Okay, let's talk a little bit about these cranks here. Um, so it's cleaned off. Ugh. Okay, oops. There we go. That's better. All right, so the original cranks, the GX cranks, here they are right here. These were the original. Came with a couple issues. One, the crank arm was 170, and I was hitting lots of rocks, things like that, when hitting the trail. And the other thing was, came with a 32 tooth chain ring, which is good for most people, but I'm old and I need a little bit more help on my climb. So I went ahead and changed it out for a shorter crank and a 28 tooth chain ring. So I got a wolf tooth chain ring that fits with the transmission, and unfortunately the SRAM GX does not actually come in anything shorter than 165, and I just didn't think that would be enough. I wanted to try something a little shorter. So I went ahead, because I do have short legs, and I wanted to go ahead and give it a try. So I went ahead and ended up getting these SRAM 70 cranks, which were actually quite affordable, and the length is 155. So definitely feel that difference out on the trail. I haven't been hitting rocks like I have been and stuff, and I don't have to like throw extra tokens into the shock to stiffen it up. I can actually keep it a nice linear feeling even when climbing, and it turned out working out pretty good so far. So I took it to Moab, had no trouble climbing Little Salty using the new setup. Along with that setup, I went ahead and got this one up bash guard because it's kind of interesting. The SRAM come with these kind of bash guards built in on the thing, but I want to go ahead and just get a traditional bash guard and chain guide because it didn't have the chain guide. And I did actually have one time when the chain actually popped off on the front, which was really strange. I never had that experience in a long time, especially with these one by systems, but it did happen. So anyway, this has working out really good. It's the bash guard and chain guide, and it works. So no complaints there. Let's go ahead and get that back on there. The pedals themselves, these are Deity Villain pedals, and I got it in this nice kind of pinkish hue color here to it's a nice complementary color to the green frame. So, all right, let's continue cleaning. One of the reasons I really liked this frame too was how clean it was. I was looking at the Santa Cruz, I think the high tower, and the weird thing was the cabling for it kind of just popped out in the middle section here, and it just kind of looked out of place. I didn't like it so much. So I'm kind of not. I'm glad that Specialized does a very very clean in frame cabling. It goes inside under in here, so you can't even see it. Looks very very seamless. Very very impressed with the finishing touches on this bike here. Okay. What is next? Okay, let's talk about. Oh well, let's actually talk about the storage box here. So this does come with with the SWAT storage. It works really well. I've sprayed this thing wet. It's no issues with water getting in there or anything like that. So right now I keep the extra battery for the derailleur in there, and So far, everything's good. I keep some snacks and stuff like that. I keep most of my tools in my hip bag, so that way I can use it on multiple bikes and stuff. So that's not usually a problem. Okay, so let us. That looks good here. Let's change direction here. All right, let's talk about this shock here. This is a Fox Float shock, and it doesn't have the piggyback canister on there or anything. It's just a Fox Float, but it does have this specialized genie, and obviously the can is quite big. It's not your standard can, and the idea behind this is to give you a more coil-like feel. And I have to agree, it actually does have quite a coil feel to it. Now, again, I think I had mentioned a little earlier that I kind of prefer a linear feel versus a progressive feel, and that's what's really neat about this. It's like the first 70% is quite linear, while that last 30% gets progressive to prevent you from bottoming out. I haven't felt any kind of bottom out. It's pretty close, maybe a couple times. Actually, I'm lying. I have bottomed out this thing a couple times, and more adjusting the right settings to kind of get it going. And I had to make some adjustments, but so far it's going really good. I wish I had maybe 5 or 6 more millimeters of travel, just a little bit more to get through it. But so far, I really like the shock. I haven't seen the need for that piggyback at all on this thing. I'm really happy with it. No complaints whatsoever. Okay, let's clean up the cockpit here and talk a little bit more about it. So I did make another change from the original build, and that was actually swapping out the handlebar with this One-Up V2 handlebar. It has 35 millimeters of rise. Let me show you the original. This was the original. Nice. It's just a specialized aluminum handlebar, nothing fancy to report. The carbon bar is very nice. I've had it with other bikes, and I'm just no complaints whatsoever about it. It looks good. It feels good especially for a 35 size. So, all right. Just on here too, I have my Timber Bell. Again, I changed out the Deity grips here with the black with the matching pedal color, just to give it a little splash of color there. And these grips, I really love them. They're just Deity grips, nothing fancy, but they feel great. All right, so let's talk about geometry. So the neat thing about this bike is that it has this replaceable cup here, and the original cup, I think, is like the standard one, puts you at about like a 64.5-degree head tube angle. And with this cup here, you can actually either make it a 1 degree either steeper or 1 degree slacker. So I went ahead and made it 1 degree slacker. And the other thing I did was actually lengthen the chainstay here, because there's a flip chip in the back right here, and that'll actually allow to make the chainstay length to, I think it changed it to 441, and I love it a little bit longer, a little bit more stability. But along with that, in the minus 1 up here gives us a 63-degree head tube angle. So very kind of enduro-y kind of head tube angle. So but it works. I really like it. It worked perfect in Moab. Going down, I like to roll down steep things and rocks and things like that. I don't really huck very often, and it handled it very well. No problems whatsoever. So very, very nice. All right, the fork on here is a Fox 36. I generally prefer rock or the RockShox stuff, because you get to work on it yourself, and these Fox ones you do have to kind of send in somewhere, because I don't have the specialty equipment to actually work on it myself. But I can do like 50-hour services, things like that on these ones, but still I'll have to do that eventually at some point. But so far the fork is really good. It's a 36. It's a Performance Elite, so it's not quite as nice as the Kashima coating, but at least it's nice and black, and I don't care for that Kashima coloring on there. And so I'm very happy with it. I mean, this has basically all the different same settings as the Kashima version, the factory version, just one step below. Works perfectly. The 36 is a very, very, very nice fork. I've tried the 38 on my e-bike. It's quite stiffer. This one is just like that nice, perfect in between. So very, very, very happy with it so far. I guess the last thing to talk about are the brakes. They are Maven bronze brakes. I've never used the Mavens before. I've been used to Shimano brakes, and it didn't take too long to adjust to them. They actually work quite well. In fact, I think on my second outing, I ended up doing a quick endo going down a rock slab because I just accidentally hit the front brake a little too hard. So I just know not to, just to be light on the touch there. But so far, I'm happy with them. Haven't had to bleed them or do anything funky. Look, they set it up really, really well at the shop, so no complaints there. All right, so I think most of this is kind of wiped down. Let me go ahead and spray it down one more time. All right, now it's time to go ahead and start drying off the bike. Kind of comparing it on my rides versus my last bike. So I really did kind of like the versatility of the old bike, meaning as I could, with being able to swap out my fork and shock, gave me the Cassidy, which was the enduro bike, versus the shorter travel bike, the Blackthorn. But the problem is I think you kind of compromise a little bit on both. And since most of my riding style out here in Phoenix has just been, nothing too crazy, the enduro bike really isn't too justified. It would be more for like doing national all the time, which I don't ride. I more ride in the North Phoenix areas. Although I have gone down it on the e-bike, and it is quite the adventure there, National Trail. The other thing is like this linkage here. Like I was kind of reluctant to get another similar linkage that on this top style linkage because of the creaking from the old one. I had to replace the bearings all the time to get rid of that creak, and I'm hoping that this one actually proves to be a bit better than the previous one. I mean, that linkage, and I have this feeling that those salsa bikes are just kind of prone to creaking, so maybe that's just something to do with the split pivot design. This, of course, is a Horselink 4-bar suspension. It is just a widely popular style of linkage, and so far, I like it. Right now, like I do prefer the DW link on my e-bike because it's a pivot, and somehow everything just feels so good on that bike. And I don't know if it's the weight or if it's the linkage, but either way, I really do like it. But I'm not complaining that there's any issue with this linkage. It's just as good or even better than the split pivot design, but well, only time will tell. So we'll see how that goes. Alrighty, let me clean off the inside here, and we don't get caught up on the brakes here. All right, this is looking good. I'll go ahead and put the wheels back on in a second here. Alrighty. Okay. Had to pick a good day to come out here and do the cleaning while it's cloudy, and it's already starting to warm up here in Phoenix. So it's, summer is coming. We all know it's coming. It's like winter is coming, but no, it's summer. Okay. Let's go ahead and do our last steps with the wheels. Actually, let's see. No, I just need to. It's a little brake cleaner here. Nice and neat. Alrighty. Now let's get the water off the. It would help not to put the front wheel on the back. That won't help. Oh boy. Okay. I need to clean this off as well. Okay. And still a little dirt on here. The funny thing is I don't tend to actually wash my bike very often because it's just dust. So I think what I normally do is I actually just get a damp rag and wipe down the bike. But if I just did that, I wouldn't have very much time to explain about the bike. So here we go. That's much better. Okay, let's go ahead and put this on. I swear this getting things, oops, if I can actually hold still there, it's been quite easy. All right, all right, we will torque this down in a second. But so far, looks good. Go ahead and pull that up. Look at that, nice and neat. Let's polish that off here. Now I can dry the chain here. See, I'll dry the chain here. Oh boy. All right, nice and clean. Now, one of the issues, and I'm going to grab the camera here real quick. You can kind of see it here. Pull this in closer. So with this 28 tooth chain ring, and you're in the smallest cog here in the back, it is going to run on the chain guard here, or the chainstay padding here. So it's one of the unfortunate things that happens, but since the only time I'm ever actually in that gear is when I'm removing the wheel, because I actually never ride in that gear. In fact, actually, we will go ahead and get it up to a proper gear here. All right, well, there we go. Let's go to fourth here. There we go. Oh, that sound of that 54 tooth ratchet there in the on the DT Swiss hubs. So anyway, yeah, this is one of the unfortunate things, but again, it has created a little marking in here for those few times that I have rubbed against it, but in general, I usually stick to the top 6 or 7 gears. I don't usually go further down than that. All right, so let's go ahead and get that front wheel on. All right. Okay, that's just cinched down for now. I'll go ahead and torque it in just a second. Alrighty, I do believe we torque the front at 9 Newton meters. There we go, nice and easy. And we'll go ahead and finish off this pinch bolt as well. Okay, and I do believe the rear is 15 Newton meters. I think that is what is required of these transmission. Okay, I think my torque wrench is starting to go, but hopefully not. Anyway, okay, that's all nice and torqued now. We are good to go. All right. Okay, now it's time to lube the chain, so we'll go ahead and get started. I always find the quick link and work my way back. I know this is tedious, most people don't do this, but I find it kind of relaxing to do, so I actually do each link on the bottom. And go for wipe it down after that. So the last thing that I'll mention that I did when I got the bike was I went ahead and had it ride wrapped. So it really has helped, because I have definitely crashed a couple times on the bike, and so far everything is held up. And this is the full version. And the nice thing is the bike shop of where I got it from, Emigos out in Ahwatukee, they have a service for ride wrapping there for new bikes, and they actually have the cutters and stuff like that, so they don't have to have the things cut and sent out to them. They just cut it there for the specific bike. So if any of you are interested in getting your bike ride wrapped, they do a really good job there. So I didn't want to have to bother with it. I'm going to try it on my own sometime in the near future, but for now I figured, well, while I was replacing out the handlebar, and go ahead and get it all nice and ride wrapped before I even get it taken out. All right, so the lube I am using is a Wolf Tooth, what's it called? WT1 chain lube. Like it so far. It's a little, I think it collects dirt and gravel a little bit more than the muck off stuff that I was using in the past. But there we go. The nice thing about it is I don't have to apply it very often. It seems really good at retaining. Like, I haven't gotten any noises from the chain since I started using it, so no complaints there. But since I'm cleaning the bike and everything, I figured I'd go ahead and re-lube it. All right, another nice little clean there, and we are good to go. Change the direction here. Let's move back here. There we go. All right, look at that bike. Look at that bike. Isn't that nice? All right, go ahead and pop this puppy off. Got a great deal in it too. Can't complain. You know, I sold the old bike, and they were actually heavily discounting these bikes. They do have the Evo, which actually has 160 front travel, and it has the piggyback Genie shock. But for my needs, this is so far so good. I'm not complaining too much, and it feels great. And I just, you know, the suspension, it works. Love it. Thanks for watching, and have a good